Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching, our webinar about LIVRESQ. I'm very excited to be here again, and I'm very excited to see you all here. We had lots of questions in your forms today, so I'm excited to also start answering some of those questions. As you've seen from our various materials, or however you got here, we're going to talk about a new feature today, which is adding stock photos straight to LIVRESQ. So from until now, if you wanted to add a photo to a project, you had to download it and then upload it in a project, in your project again. But now we've integrated some search engines for stock photos, and you can add those photos straight to your projects. So the way this is going to work, we're right now live on Zoom as well as Facebook. If you guys have any questions at any point, I have my chat over here so I can see all of your questions and comments in real time. If you also want to maybe turn on your mic and speak to me directly, by all means, I'm very excited to get to know you. And just as an FYI, the recording of this meeting will also be posted on YouTube. So people who missed it will have a chance to catch us there as well. The way this is going to work, because I've seen in your registration questions or comments that we also have some people who've never used LIVRESQ before, who are totally new to our tool. So I'm going to try to focus, because this is what we've announced, I'm going to focus mainly on images as well as answer some other questions, but I'll also give you a glimpse of the basics. So if you're more experienced, bear with us. I'm just going to give a few more basic explanations in the beginning, but I'm sure that a lot of the information that we're going to feature today is also going to be useful to you regardless of your level. Okay, so without further ado, I'll start sharing my screen in a second. Just one moment. Okay. And I wanted to make sure to share sound, because we had some really interesting questions about creating voices in LIVRESQ and text-to-speech. And I would like to also show you the avatar and what narrating in LIVRESQ looks like. Okay, let me pop up the chat here. Okay. So LIVRESQ, essentially, for those of you who really don't know anything about us, first of all, welcome. But LIVRESQ is a tool that allows you to create e-learning content. So it allows you to create digital lessons. In essence, it's like a website builder, because you build stuff in HTML5, but it's focused on learning content. So you can add resources like quizzes, any type of interactive e-learning resource that you can think of. Basically, you can integrate it or you can add it straight from LIVRESQ. And this allows you to create courses that can be exported. And if you're an e-learning professional, they can be, this might be of interest to you, they can be exported in SCORM, or you can also export them to our library or as HTML5 archives and basically run them anywhere you need on the web. So it's a e-learning content builder, and it works. It's not a separate app. It works entirely on your browser, which means that the saving of all of your materials happens in real time, which is great because this was designed. We have a really huge, actually. I was thinking that this might sound a little bit weird to say that we have a huge community of teachers, but we do. We have a lot of Romanian teachers who have given us feedback as we've developed this tool. So everything that you see, or most of the features that you see, are actually due to their requests and due to their ideas. So this has become a tool for teachers and for e-learning content builders, instructional designers, or whoever else, technicians, because it was really important for us to provide a tool that really answers to the needs of our public. So we're very receptive to feedback. As you start working, or if you've already started working with LIVRESQ, if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions for us, our main purpose is to stay very close to you and to answer all of your questions and to talk to you directly. So that's why I'm welcoming any interventions in chat any one-to-one. We also have lots of, we answer emails all the time and messages. So you're more than welcome to interact with us and ask us questions and offer us feedback. Okay, so now that we know what LIVRESQ is and that I've told you that, that you can come to us to make it even more than what it already is, let's see how we can actually use it. So in LIVRESQ, once you open the page, you can create an account, and you will end up in this page, in the author page, which allows you to create either a new project, a section, a resource, or import your own content. And you can import a number of different files and turn them into projects. But let's just start creating a new project. You can either choose from a template that our graphic designers have prepared, or you can just start blank. And for the purpose of today, just to show you how the stock photo thing works and how everything sort of works in a project, we're going to start with a blank project. So I'm going to click New Project. And once I created a new project, I already have a section, because you saw that when we had the option to create new, you could either create a new project, a new section, or a new resource. The project contains multiple sections, which are like pages or like chapters in a lesson or like pages on a website. So you can have an unlimited number of sections inside of your project, and inside each section is where we add the content or the resources. We call them resources, and we've kept the same name in English as well, because it's really fitting. It's resources means either images, videos, different learning apps, and whatever else you want to add to your section, to your project. And I always like to tell our teachers that all they need to know in order to use LIVRESQ is how to perform 3 very simple IT actions, which they are most likely already performing just because they do use computers. So they don't need advanced IT knowledge. They just need to know how to do 3 things. And that's click, double click, and drag and drop. The rule is, and I will keep repeating this so that everything becomes even more intuitive, is that if you want to select something, you single click, and if you want to edit something, you double click. So if we double click our section, we are basically in edit mode for this chapter or page of our lesson. And here, in order to add something to our lesson, we just drag and drop it straight to the page. We have on the left-hand side this whole area of content where we can either add content straight from here or elements of structure, and we drag and drop them and introduce them into the lesson. For instance, if I wanted to add an image, I can take it from the content and drag and drop it inside my page. And in order to edit it, we have to double click. And once we double click it, we are in edit mode. I've added an image because that's what I want to talk about today, but I also want to, like, very subtly, I hope, draw attention to some of the features. So right now, up here, it always shows me what I'm editing, where I am inside my project. So I'm inside project 25, that was automatically numbered by the platform, in section 1, and right now I'm working on image number 1, and this is the edit screen. And here, all of our resources have placeholders so that it allows you to see what should go where. As we've worked with teachers, we've discovered that it's easier if they have this visual feedback of, okay, I'm adding an image. Here's the image, and not just something abstract. So because we have this placeholder, what I need to do now is change this image. And I have this button right here that allows me to change the image. If I click it, I have 2 options. The second option is what I want to talk about today, and it's new. It's only been around for about 2 weeks, I think, maybe 1 week and a half. Because up to this point, if I wanted to add an image to my lesson, I had to upload a file, which meant that I was going to go on Google, download a file on my computer, and then I'd upload it to the lesson. But right now, you can access databases of stock photos straight from LIVRESQ. So again, I clicked on Change Image, and clicked on stock photo. And this is what it looks like. It basically remembers your last search. My last search was music. If it's the first search you ever do, it's usually book. That was the default we set. And this is where your search bar is. This is where you'll type in the word or the keyword or the keywords that you want to search for. Then you can choose between 3 sources. And I'm going to take advantage of this to answer one of the questions, because one of the questions we got for today was, what search engine do we use? So we have 3 search engines, and you can choose between them. If you can find a picture of a book you like on Pexels, you can go to Pixabay and look there. And you can also change the direction of the results. So right now we have rows of images, but we can have columns of images as well. This helps, and it's basically a matter of preference or a matter of your screen size, because for different screen sizes, it might work better in column or in columns or in rows. So it's up to you. Down here, you also have a few options of how many records, how many search records per page you want displayed. And you can also go through pages of results as you need. So I'm not satisfied with what's displayed on the first page. I'm going to go to the next page or just change the source. Okay, but how do we add images to our lesson? Because right now we're seeing this wall of images, our search results. Let's say I want to add something that looks a bit more, this is a bit too romantic for like a general, okay, we'll just go with some old books. So let's just say I'd like to add this image. Once I hover with my cursor, excuse me, over the images, apparently I'm losing my voice in just a second. It's quite cold in Romania nowadays. Maybe that's why. Okay, I'm back. So once you hover with your mouse, with your cursor over the images, then this little button on the top left appears. And once you click it, you can choose between 2 or 3 sizes of photos. We're going to change this text very soon. So for instance, in Pixabay, I usually have just 2 sizes. But if I were to go to Pexels, I can choose between 3 sizes, one of them really large, a medium one, and a smaller size. So let's choose another picture. I like landscape better, so we'll just go with this. Of course, I don't really need 5,000 pixels worth of image, so we're just going to go with the medium size. I select this, and I've already added, and I've just added the image to my lesson. If I go back to my section, I can see it here. All the content that you build in LIVRESQ is automatically set to be responsive, which means that if you're viewing the lesson, or if your students are viewing the lesson on a smaller screen, the image will automatically scale. And you can even preview this. You can preview what your lesson will look like as you're building it. You have this little handy button here on the bar up top. We're simulating a phone right now, and the image automatically scaled. If I wanted to see, though, what it looks like in the end, what the end product looks like, on all of the components, I have this little view mode icon, this little eye. So if I click it from up here, then I'll see the entire lesson with a toolbar up here and everything else I need. If I just want to preview, for instance, this row, I have this little icon, this little eye on the row, and I can click it. And right now the row is, of course, in the context of the lesson, I can see my row, which contains the image. I didn't really explain, I mentioned that everything is responsive, and I didn't really explain how we do this. I'm not going to go into any technical things or details, but I just want to draw your attention to the elements inside of a page, because that's what actually allows our platform to automatically scale the content. So inside a section, we have an unlimited number of rows, and you can see them. They are these gray rectangles. If I click on them, I can select them. So right now I'm selecting my 2 rows. Inside the rows, we have cells cells are going to be displayed right next to the other. So I've selected my cell. This is the orange rectangle. I can duplicate it, and we'll have two cells next to each other. From the structure, I can even add a row with multiple cells. For instance, I want a row with 3 cells. I'll drag and drop it here. And in each of these cells, I'm going to add my resources. So this is actually the part of the lesson where I add the resource and where I can actually put images or whatever else I need to put. In mobile, my cells will be arranged one under the other. On the larger screen, they'll be displayed as they are here. And that's why I said that that's why I mentioned that this is what allows, these components are what allows our lessons to automatically scale, to be responsive. Okay, I'm going to delete this row and get back to my image. Maybe add another row and add another image. So I dragged a row with one cell, and inside this cell, I'm adding an image. I'm double-clicking to edit. I'm going to select an image from one of my stock photo engines. Let's go with Unsplash, and let's look for a library this time. But again, according to your needs, you can search. I'm sure you're familiar with databases of stock images, but you can basically search anything according to what you need to do. And the great thing about it, because we had a question about this, is that they are copyright-free, so they are free to use. Stock photos, you don't have any limitations, so you don't have to worry about copyright at all. We just added this concrete, very modern looking library. And the reason why I showed you this with another picture is that we also have the possibility to edit our images straight from LIVRESQ. So we have this little button here. And here you have a basic image editor, but this was designed to cover basic needs in terms of editing an image. Things like resizing, adding text to it. So you can resize it through here. You can add stickers or custom stickers as well. You can add text, you can add shapes, you can draw on your image, you can rotate, you can flip it. So basic things that so you no longer need to take that image outside of LIVRESQ, re-upload it, download it from somewhere else. So everything is really, really seamless and easy to do. Okay. So once I have my image, this is all nice, but what we've noticed and what we really wanted to do with this tool is adding the possibility to use stock photos in any instance you might use an image in LIVRESQ. Because what LIVRESQ allows you to do is add images to almost all of its components. Obviously, we have galleries of images that work very similarly. So if I were to add a row with one cell and add a gallery straight to it, I can double click and change these pictures just like I changed the one I've just showed you with stock photos and create a gallery of something with whatever theme I need. But the great thing about this is that if you wanted to add a picture inside a text box, so inside a text resource, you can also do that. So I just added another row to my project. Then inside of this cell and inside of this row, I'm going to add a text. I need to double click it to edit. And once I double click a text resource, a text box, I get the menu to edit it straight here. So as you can see, I have a text editor. And one of the options in my text editor is also adding an image. If I click it, normally this is how it shows. I can add an image, either upload it or use a stock photo. Again, we can look for, let's say, a picture of a tree. I want to use a very small picture of a tree. I don't need it. I'm going to add text to it anyway. If I want to change its size and edit it in any way, I can go to advanced once I have the picture selected. and sort of change the ratio, change the pixels, whatever other options I need here. And right now, I can add text, or I can add any other information I want. And this text editor is featured in all other resources where we have text. If I wanted to add an accordion is a very popular resource of ours because what it does is it allows you to hide information behind a title. So the student needs to click on each title to uncover the information. To edit, we're going to double click. And once we double click each item where we have text, we have the same menu, the same text editor, which basically allows us to add images. So if I wanted to add an image to the title, I'm going to select another random tree. Make it smaller though. We're going to make it 150 in width. So right now, if I were to preview this component, if I go into view mode, and when I talked about view mode before, I showed you that I've told you that you can find it on all components. We've seen it once we're in our section. We saw that we can preview a row or a certain element, but once we're in edit mode for some of our interactive elements, we also have this little button here, which allows us to preview that particular component. So right now I change the title here with an image, and the student will click on this area or on the image and they will uncover the information that I want to add. In order to exit view mode, we click on this icon again. And I can just leave it at 1. I can add multiple. I can add an image here as well. And basically it works with all other resources, for instance, tabs, which is very similar to accordions, but it's like the tabs of a browser. You basically click on each tab and new content is displayed. And here, if we edit, again, we can add images to any of these tabs, either in the title or in the content itself. A great use of it, though, a great use of images in general, however, is for quizzes. So if we add another row and we wanted to create a quiz that features images, and these are really useful in many, many fields when you want students, or when you want, well, whoever's going through the course to recognize a certain pattern or a certain shape or a certain animal, which we're going to do in a second, it's really useful to use a quiz. I'm just going to change the title of quiz. By the way, if you want to get to hide this bar or to get rid of this bar, you have an option here on the right-hand side in the properties to hide it. In order to edit the quiz that I've added, I'm going to double click. So right now I'm in my project 25 in section 1 on quiz 1, and I can edit it. We're going to make this a single choice. And we're going to write a question or a requirement for our students. For instance, choose the domestic animal or the pet. And here, for each option, if I double click, I have the same text editor, which allows me to add images again. I'm going to select stock photo. Let's think of 3 animals, only one of them domestic. Let's pick a fox, first of all. Here we go, a smaller fox. We don't need a picture that's too big. I'm actually going to make it smaller, even smaller. This is one option. A second option would be, let's say, a dog. Let's actually choose a domestic animal. Pictures of dogs are always so cute and impossible to choose. So I'm just going to let my hands do the work. Again, 200 pixels. I'm going to pick this as correct. And then I'm going to add another option. Let's say, since we've added a dog, let's choose a wolf. So let's choose a small picture of a wolf. Make it 200 pixels in width as well, so that they're similarly sized. And right now I have this quiz. I can preview it. Let's enter the view mode. And the student would have to choose which of these picture represents domestic animal. And I'm not going to get into, we'll definitely have an episode just for quizzes and just for showing you what purpose means, how you calculate scores, and how you have different sort of facilities for quizzes. It's quite a lot to talk about, so we're definitely going to have an entire session, an entire webinar dedicated to that. But this is to show you how you can integrate images. And another great idea for a quiz with images, and we're going to actually use the same animals, is asking the student to correlate between the title or the word, the name of the animal, and the animal itself, which again can have a lot of other uses according to what you want to teach. So we're going to add another item, and this will turn into like a gallery of quizzes. I'll show you what it looks like. And this time, I want to make it a drag and drop, because what I want the student to do is take the image and drag it and drop it next to the title. So these are my options here. I have two options. This is where I need to write a question or a requirement. And what I want the student to do is drag and drop each animal next to its name. And here it says write a text with markers, so I need to replace this. Markers are these numbers between braces, or between, I've heard them called curly accolades actually. So between braces we have certain numbers, and this is the code that connects the option, the number of the option, to the actual item. So my first picture is of a fox, right? I'll add it to the options. Let's add the pictures to the options. I'll just copy paste them from above. I'm copying the picture of a fox and pasting it here. Copying the picture of a dog and pasting it in my second option. And I want to add the picture of the wolf as well. I'm copying and pasting it. So right now I have 3 pictures, and here is where I add the body of my quiz. So let's say the first one I said is a fox. And then I want the student to drag and drop the picture of the fox next to it. And to mark that space for the option, I'm going to add number 1 between braces. A dog is number 2. And a wolf is number 3. So basically there'll be a gap here where the student is supposed to drag and drop option number 1, number 2, and number 3. We can shuffle these options because otherwise this is the order in which the pictures will appear on the screen. So I'm going to click this. You can also have the pictures appear on the screen one by one. So you have the first picture, then the student drag and drops it, second picture, and so on. But we're just going to have them all here. You can also change the location. So easy to use, but lots and lots of options. We'll go into view mode. We have this the first question. We're going to answer it correctly. And right now we have these pictures and the designated places. So we can, if I make a mistake, because I'm in learning mode, the platform allows me to discover what the correct answer is. So I'll just add dog, fox, and wolf. And basically I've dragged and dropped images. Images that I didn't have to download, images that I added straight to my lesson. So we've seen it, we've seen the use of images in quizzes. It works in the same way, adding stock photos, but because I got a few questions about generating voices and about audio, I think it's worth mentioning that we can also add pictures as covers, both for videos and audios. And I'm going to show you this very, very fast. So I'm going to get a row with 2 cells, and I'm going to add an audio in one of them and a video in one of them. Let's start with the video. So I'm going to hide the bar. So right here I have a video, a placeholder for a video. I've double-clicked to edit it. And I can change it, choose one either from an address, which usually comes from any video platform, video sharing platform like YouTube or any other platform that you want to use, or you can upload a video from your computer. But if you don't like the cover of the video, you can add a poster and change it with a stock photo. Maybe not a wolf. Maybe let's go again with computer this time. And we have a coder's computer. We're gonna go with a big size because we want it to cover the video. The size might need to be tweaked, but you can do that by editing the image in the same way I've shown you in the beginning. So right now I have the placeholder video, but I've changed its cover. And if I want to add an audio, I'll drag and drop it in this cell. I'll again double click to edit. And even for audio, I can add a poster. Well, let's look for something related to music. And we'll just click this microphone. We'll use the full photo. And basically any audio I add here we're going to have this picture appear in the lesson like this. But the question was about how to narrate your lessons and how to add voice, your own voice or text-to-speech voices to the lessons. So in order to edit this audio, I'm going to double click it. And this time for audio, we have the properties for the audio on the right-hand side. So here in sound, we can either upload an MP3 file of whatever you want, either your recorded voice in another app or something else. We can generate, and this works with premium accounts only, but you can generate text in any voice, in any language you want. Not any voice, there's a limited selection of voices, but at least for American English, we have lots. And a lot of them even have a style attached to it. So you can make this voice either be cheerful, sound like a newscaster. You can have it whisper, shout, be terrified, and a few other handy inflections in voice. So here is the menu where you can generate the voice. You add the text here, you generate, and it automatically, once you click save, appears here. If you want to record your voice, like the person who asked us the question wanted, you just click here, record, and you can record your voice straight to LIVRESQ. If I click on this circle, on this red circle here, it will start recording my voice. So right now it's recording whatever I say. I'll stop recording. I can play it back or redo it, or I can just click save. It's generated an MP3. It will start recording my voice. So right now it's recording whatever I say. And basically you could hear it. It's already uploaded. So if you want your students, or if you want to feature your own voice in your course, this is one way to do it. You add an audio resource. You can change its poster by adding a stock photo, a poster or cover, or whatever you want to call it. And the students will be able to play that recording and hear your voice. It'll be featured here. And if we go back into the options, you'll see that there are many things that you can do. You can have it autoplay, you can have it be compact, so just with the play button and not that entire menu. You can add subtitles. And we always like to say that LIVRESQ is really easy to use, but it's very complex in that it has a lot of possibilities. And that's why we really feel that the best way to engage with you is to sort of explain everything, because you can really do a lot of things. And that's why we're always inviting people to talk to us, but also to try it out. So try out all of these options, because you'll see that some of them might surprise you and some of them are really, really fun. But another way to add your voice is through the virtual assistant or avatar or virtual teacher. And that's a tool that allows for the narration or the guidance of the student through the lesson. And I'll show you in a second. We have this little option here called speech. And in order to add the avatar or the virtual assistant to the lesson, we'll just drag and drop it. Now, position is also important. This is our little avatar. We'll edit him in a minute. Position is also important because if we place it in the bottom corner of a resource, it will display simultaneous, it will speak or display simultaneous with that resource. If we place it on the top corner of a resource, it will appear before that resource. And I'll show you in a second. So here, we want this to display with my element here. So we'll say at the same time. We edit him from the properties on the right as well. And we can even make him speak. We can generate his voice. The menu looks the same as in the sound tool. So let's generate his voice for fun. We'll have Guy, the voice called Guy, be very friendly and say at the same time.
At the same
time. There we go.
At the same time.
Okay. So he's saying at the same time. And we also want to add him before, let's say before this gallery. And if we write before, or next will be next, we'll have a gallery. And again, we can generate his voice.
Next, we'll have a gallery.
Even playing around with his little styles is really fun. So I invite you to do that. And now if I wanted to view my section, I can click view.
At the same time.
So it appears at the same time as the resource I placed it in, which was this text, because I placed him on the bottom left corner.
At the same time. Next, we'll have a gallery.
And this one, of course, I can add for each element because they all display together. And this one appears before my gallery. It sort of announces it. And you can really tweak. We will need another special session for explaining sort of how this narration and how the progress through lesson works and how the avatar, how you can use the avatar to its maximum potential, because it can really do a lot of things and it can really ensure that the student goes through everything before moving on with the lesson. And it can add a lot of value to a lesson in terms of explanations and in terms of making it truly interactive and making it feel very sort of genuine and close to the student. But if you have any other further questions about the avatar, maybe I should also show you that it can be any character. And the way we edit him is if we go to project. And so right now we're no longer in the section. We're in the main menu of the project, and we have an option here, which is assistants. If we click, we only have one assistant by default on the platform. If we double click it, we are able to change, either add an image. We usually recommend a vector or a PNG with a transparent background. So it can even be a picture of yourself. You can just add this character, and you can also add an animation like we have here, because you can actually select which posture. So when he speaks, you can select him speaking. When he's idle, he's idle. A lot of options here as well, but basically whatever PNG you find with the transparent background, you can make it into a character, and you can make yourself the character. And we've seen teachers do this, and I think that was quite wonderful to have this little avatar of the teacher explaining through the lesson for the students. Okay, if you have any other questions about stock photos and how it works, or about text-to-speech, because this was one of the other questions that we got. So text-to-speech works just as photos, just as stock photos works with any component where we can add a photo. Text-to-speech works with anywhere we can add audio. So you can add text-to-speech on the avatar by generating the sound, or we can add text-to-speech inside an audio resource by double-clicking it, like I did here, and changing the sound to generate a sound. I've also covered the question of the databases that we use. So we have 3 stock photo databases, and you can alternate through them. We wanted to give the user that freedom to know where the image is coming from, and to also find maybe an alternative if they're not happy with one of the yields, the first search yields. Okay. And if there are no other questions, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you will find this as useful as we do, frankly. And so far we've gotten really good feedback for this feature. It definitely makes things easier. Hopefully it will help you save time and energy, and you will use this feature to the maximum. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time at the same time on Thursday. Whether it's noon, morning, or afternoon for you, it's evening for us here. But I'm excited to see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for joining me.
You.